How are you? Oh,
My
I'm good.
hometown is like hotspot central. Ames. Ames and Des Moines are really bad.
Our little orange park. They act like nothing's going on.
I know.
I got
I know.
this.
Hi, everybody, restaurants and bars are open, everybody's
I
out
know.
there around. It's a different group there.
Well, yeah. My farm is in Paulina, which I think
Yeah.
they're taking it pretty carefully there,
I'm not sure, but
as far as I know.
we rarely
Got there
went out.
one day
We
every month.
basically-
Yeah, if you want to head on down, man, we're
Parents
here.
having dinners at different houses
Yeah.
with our own small posse, we called it.
Yep.
And then the restaurants that we did go to, we knew the owners and they'd have a private room for us.
For you,
For just
yeah.
8 or 10.
We've been doing a lot of takeout,
Yeah.
and
No problem, man.
But,
All right, I'll
tell
let
you
them,
what, we were in,
no problem, bud. We'll let them know.
much like
All right,
here,
bud.
when we
Have a
got to
good day.
Colorado, it was like lockdown.
yeah.
You couldn't go. Oh, because now they're in front of us. There's huge. They got a huge dam built out there.
Yeah. I better pay attention to my job here.
All right,
It's
we are ready.
9:01.
We got the go-ahead, we're ready.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, perfect. It's 9:01. I'll call the meeting to order and pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. We have everybody here but Doug, and have we heard from Doug?
Yeah, Doug called. He said that he just got it wrong on his calendar. He's not going to make it today. He apologized profusely for not making it, but it won't happen again, and he'll get an email.
Okay. I'm glad he called in, so that's great. Okay, so public comment? No public comment at this time. Approval of minutes from October 21st. Anybody make a motion?
Sam, I move that we accept the minutes.
Greg Holmes, second.
Greg Holmes, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mooring field and staff report.
As of now, the field's filling up. I'm sorry, this is Austin Gilchrist, Harbor Master for the record. Mooring field's filling up. We do have bowls on 1 and 2 right now that we will be moving back eventually. We're doing about 5 to 10 pump outs every 3 days now, mostly in the field. With the adjustment over to the online request, we're starting to get an influx of out of the field requests as well now. But other than that, everything's running smoothly there. We are in the process of putting in new systems that we've got from the engineers. The front field is pretty much complete. We're just waiting on some ball numbers to put the new balls on that we have. We're utilizing the old balls and assessing the condition of them as we put them back. And we're replacing those as needed. Other than that, the storm, we really didn't have any issues through the high winds or any of that. One boat did, I think, lost a back mass on their vessel, but that's within their responsibility to take care of, so they're managing that. But other than that, there's no real issues to report.
Chelsea, do you have anything?
Yes, Chelsea O'Reilly, Public Works Director. We actually just got notice this morning, we're pending a letter from Hans Wilson and that group regarding the, regarding the expansion. So they are in favor of the expansion and will be providing that letter to the town and to DEP. That was one of the hurdles we had to jump through. Try not to jump. The Aqua, we did have some hiccups this last month. We're trying to resolve some issues. We're trying to get away from shopkeep, which is where how our point of sale used to be processed if you went in and your card was ran through shopkeep. Until we can get Aqua to do cash sales with their swiper, the pump out tickets, we're reevaluating that because right now we're paying for the town is paying for 2 point of sales. So we're paying for shopkeep and we're paying for DACWA. So we're trying to transition away from shopkeep because right now the only thing being run through shopkeep is $5 pump out tickets. So instead of having another system down there, we do have shopkeep still here, looking to maybe make some changes with that. We've asked Matanzas to provide an update to the patrons of the field. We noticed in the October run, and Kathy, you may have seen this, there's a 3.5% processing fee that in October you paid $312. In the fee schedule, council approved that it's $312 plus the 3.5%. So that 3.5% in the October bills got deducted from the $312 instead of added on top. That's why the patrons of the field have seen what an increased rate. I think it's like $322 and some change, because it's that $312 plus 3.5%. So the end user pays the processing fee, just like we do with parking other places. So again, as issues arise, we're dealing with patrons directly, getting them communicating. I believe Wait Not is one that they've had some issues we're trying to resolve with our account manager. We have come to resolutions on pretty much every item. The security deposits, Matanzas will no longer be issuing those refunds. Staff will be doing that. And by staff, I mean our finance department. So that's just a internal control mechanism that our new finance director has implemented, which I'm fine with. So, but I don't know if you want to talk. You want to talk about the other items that are right here, right now, or if you want to wait. The Harbor House layout and the numbers.
We're almost there, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
For
that's under the service provider.
So for now, that's it.
Can I ask one question? What is the function of Hans Wilson in our process of?
He is part of a group. So DEP required that this third-party group, I can find out their official name, but it's just kind of another ring in the process that we have to get their blessing before DEP will issue the permit. And he just happens to be like the president of that group. So that's the point.
Is that like a public group, like people that are living around there or something?
Yeah, something like that. I can find out the official name of it. Like I said, we've had some email issues this last week, so a little bit of a struggle.
Well, just to be sure, that's a group of private citizens. It's not a governmental agency.
It's not a governmental agency. It's like Mariners. If you give me 5 minutes, I can try to find it.
Well, as I recall, there were some objections to doing it from some private citizens, residents. Was it one of those kind of groups then?
Is it like a proximity group within certain areas, within that area?
I'll try to get you an answer by the end of this
Okay,
meeting.
that's fine.
Or
there anything else on mooring field staff report, because we have kind of other categories
Could
here?
you let them know the name of our new finance director?
Walter Pierce.
Pierce, I couldn't remember his last
Walter
name.
Pierce.
And he's transitioning in. Our current finance director is still here for a short time, but got Walt here, so they're communicating and he's learning the system. And it's being done in a very good fashion, a
So
transition.
the gentleman that's been to our meetings is transitioning out,
Yes.
and Walter is transitioning in.
So that everybody knows we do have a new finance director, and
Okay.
he's been very responsive to me.
That, I guess I'll just ask the question then, because we were getting some financial reports, which we did not get this month. So are we going to get some that we were getting before or starting to get?
I say he needs a little time to get his feet on the ground, but
Yeah.
I'm optimistic.
And they're trying to grasp the reporting mechanisms that DACWA has. And I know that they were trying to coordinate a small training session with DACWA's accounts payable to give them the rundown of what reports are, help them get the information that they need. DACWA was able to manipulate a report to where I could see the occupancy of the east and west field.
Okay.
So I did want to make sure that we continue tracking that. But give them, like the vice mayor said, just give them a little bit of time.
Okay.
I don't want to, I've overwhelmed them with lots of other things, so.
I understand. Because we kind of talked about still having the same spreadsheet that we'd had through this year and transitioning to DACWA. We kind of discussed that the last meeting. Any more questions on this? We have categories for some of the other things that we're going to talk about. Anybody else? Okay, I think we talked about the expansion of the mooring field that's moving along with the permit.
I do want to just address something regarding
Okay.
that. The funding of actually implementing that, there has not been allocated. So once we obtain the permits, and either find the money or request council to allocate funding from elsewhere, or we got to work on that if they choose to move forward with the implementation and expansion of the mooring field.
How are we doing, being filled? How soon will we need the new area, the new balls?
As far as the occupancy wise?
Yeah.
Well, with the review of the last 3 years, we did run a report on the average of the last 3 years, and the inconsistency of the years of what we've been facing along with storms, the pandemic, and then blue-green algae. We're starting to see an influx right now of we are not at capacity yet, but I think in the previous years, we've been at capacity by January, it's been. And I think this year is going to be a tell-all of where we're going to be, especially using DACWA and seeing how much more, or I would say how many more boats we do bring into the area. So I can't give you a definite answer of how close we're going to be in need of those systems. But as far as getting that area cleaned up, yeah, it is in need of that right away.
So in a way, we don't need that money for 6 months maybe, or
Keep in mind, if and when that funding is approved, it's going to take at least 6 months for
Okay.
it to be CO'd and operational.
we haven't peaked out at this point.
No, not at this point. We're starting to influx now, though. We're getting pretty close. And I'm going to check the numbers here in a while and see where we're at. But yeah, we're filling
That's
up.
the general idea.
All right, to answer your question earlier, it is the Southwest Florida Marine Industries Association, and Hans Wilson just happens to be the president of that association.
I had a question for Austin. Do you think, just by talking to people out there, that there's going to be a preference for that north field or for those north buoys as opposed to going all the way east?
Yeah, well, the compliments that I've been getting on it has been overwhelming, I should say. Just yesterday, somebody just told me that they've been coming here for years, and they have never got a ball in this field before, been this close. I told him the concept of what we're doing and how we're working the field, and he said that it should have been done like that years ago, just through the way that it is easier, because he's only here for a few days. So, and it's just turning that front of the field, we get a bigger influx of drawing more people. And he did comment on how a lot of people, he was from the Punta Gorda area, and he said how a lot of people don't like coming to this area because of how short they do stay here and how difficult it is to get into the mooring field. Yeah, he said that this was the first time that it has been this easy for him to just come in for a few days and then go without having to find a ball in the back and go through what he's gone through in the past.
Those will probably be preferred spots for the people that want to be close to the bridge.
Well, yeah, the way that I'm kind of viewing it is the less time that you spend is going to be the closer that you are up to the front of the field. Just because it's easier for you to utilize the stuff. And typically, the less people stay here, the more supplies and things that they're gathering to go. So that's kind of the thinking behind that. And it can change over time, but as of right now, that's how we're operating.
Do you have some more on the upland service provider? I'm sorry, we're not there. The expansion of the mooring field, part of that? Okay. Let's move to the upland service provider update. I did go to the October council meeting. That was after the meeting that we had in October to take to them, first of all, that we'd passed the strategic plan, but also our motion that we made last time to consider pursuing the 2-unit option at Harbor House and exploring that option. And that's what this packet that Chelsea sent out to us came from. And I hope that you've had a chance to review it. Chelsea and I got together last week, I guess, and kind of went through this a little bit. And
And I'd like to run line by line through it with you all, like I did with Kathy, if we're at that point. Okay, so if you pull up this budget sheet that has, it's red and black on it. So, like Austin said earlier, we took the average of the revenue of the last 3 years. The last 3 years has been the worst of the worst. I mean, we've had blue-green algae, we've had a hurricane, we've had COVID. I mean, every hurdle that could have been thrown at us, or, you know. So that's the average revenue of the last 3 years of the mooring field. It's $165,000.
Total revenue.
Total revenue.
a year, though.
So we took, so number A, you see field staff cost. That is 25% of Austin and one other employee's time spent in the field, strictly in the mooring field. Now, mind you, we have a grant, the Clean Vessel Act grant, that the town gets reimbursed for Austin or any of his team's time that does pump outs. This does not include their time for pump outs. This is strictly maintenance of the field. All right? We've reduced it by $29,000 and we're at $136,000. Office staff cost, if you were to take this in-house. See below, this is 3 part-time equivalents at $15 an hour, 30 hours a week. So, and mind you, this is as close to cutting it as I could cut it. Now, there is wiggle room, absolutely. But make sure we are covered and it is operational as a standalone business. This is what I feel would be required. We're down to $65,800. Build out cost of the 2 units.
That's option 2 with everything, with both, with the
Both
extra.
units.
Thank you.
This is at $150 a square foot. Both the engineer and I called around. That is the going rate. Now that is a little high, but we're on an island. We're approaching season. to government, et cetera. Of course, that number would be refined if we actually bid this out. We'd get true costs, but this is a budgetary number. This is the engineer's opinion of probable cost for the build out. Now we're in the hole. Acquisition of the Harbor House. This is based on a 30-year mortgage at a 3% interest rate. That would be our yearly payment.
Monthly times 12.
Okay. Now, mind you, council could say, well, no, we just want to buy it outright. Of course, that's a higher upfront cost. Or we want to take out a loan. We want to borrow against ourselves. We were just trying to provide a 30-year mortgage.
Is that 3% rate available pretty much?
It's a number, just a general number that between the town manager and I that we used. I mean, our current loan that we're looking to get is pretty close to that rate. So again, the number could fluctuate slightly. So yearly HOA fee, that is for both units. Water and electric is included in the HOA. Keep reducing, and then operations. This operations number, we took this current fiscal year's mooring field budget. We took out personnel, and we took out Kansas's payment that we do to them. This is the remaining operational costs that we have in this current fiscal year's budget. This be refined? Probably, but again, I don't want cut us short. As you can see, we are in the hole.
But the 223,500 is really a one-time expense.
Yes.
It's not
So
gonna be
you're
year.
really looking at 60 in the hole.
Well, that's if a 30-year mortgage is done. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So, I know you're itching. You got a question for me?
Some thoughts.
Yeah.
The 223,000 I took out because, as you say, it's a one-time, and the other side of that is a loss because there's no retrieving that 223,000. So that's going to be something we just buy, and that's not included in the loan, is my understanding.
Correct.
So, and I noticed two people are covering, I thought the pump out, patron contacts, and the field repairs. You're saying that some of those things that I'm listing are covered in other ways.
Yes.
Okay. Part-time of 4680, sort of like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for one person adds up to the greatest portion of that. And I don't know what hours we're likely to have someone in this, when they're going to clean the heads and so forth. So,
And that's a very valid point. So, again, we did 3 part-time equivalents at 30 hours per week with, and of course that would be a 7-day-a-week schedule. We would have to stagger. That's an operational thing. But mind you, we just invested in DACWA, and the point of that was to do away with less paper, not necessarily less contact with the public, but to expedite the process of coming into the mooring field. So absolutely, there's wiggle room for all of these numbers, but again, I wanted to play safe. I wanted to be safe because worst case scenario, we know that we have to fill certain hours and we have to provide coverage.
Someone brought up the question of how long this is going to be an adequate coverage for. In other words, whether this location is really a permanent sort of thing that we're going to want to go through with for the next 10 years. And I've heard thoughts on both sides that yes, it's going to go, and some that say it really isn't an adequate long-term solution. And if those people who feel that way is it worth spending all of our income on operation while expending 223,000, whatever, on a one-time expense that is not going to be retrievable? On long-time, the long-term worth of the remodeling is used up unless we use it for an extensive period of time. So would it, I bring this up as just another option, I'm not suggesting it, but would it be better to get Matanzas to increase their facilities for a 3 to 5 year contract? Then we could search for a more suitable long-term option on a reasonable timetable. I don't have a feeling one way or the other, but that's the other side of the coin as I see it. Now that we, thank you very much, have this very excellent of what the business plan might be. Thank you.
Mike Ratliff for the record. Well, my concern is, because we've been discussing this for, 2 years at least, I would guess. I don't know what our options are. It seems to me we have two options. This, or continue with Matanzas. Personally, as I expressed before, I don't think Bay Oaks is particularly with the proposed expansion, the other end of the field, is actually a viable option. So, here are the numbers, and philosophically, it seems that the town is interested in taking it in-house. So it just seems to me we have those two choices, as is, or this. Because I don't see any other options out there for a physical place.
I'll piggyback on that, and I did talk about, last time why I don't think Bay Oaks is a viable option, and Austin just brought up the fact that we have these folks that just came in, and they're able to get a ball up close to Times Square. Well, that's where this is, and I don't see us expanding into that other side of the field, and they have to dinghy clear to Bay Oaks to take a shower. I mean, that makes no sense. And there really aren't any options for us to take it in-house in that area. I mean, we already explored Bayfront Park. That's not, there aren't options for us to take it in-house and have it there. And to me, that's really the only real place to do it. I mean, to have it in Times Square where everything's happening and where our mooring field is, and our dinghy dock is. That's
Bob
my
Beasley
feeling.
for the record. I agree with what's been said, and it all boils down to, does the town want to invest in their future? I know Ted's like, well, what kind of future is that? That's a good question, but I don't see any other viable options. If we've got the field basically eventually on both sides of the bridge, it just makes sense to have it in the center. And I just don't see really any other option, try to find a piece of property and purchase it would cost you multi-millions of dollars just for the land. And that's if you could find it. Here you've got an opportunity, I'm going to call it at this less amount of money to actually own something. Granted, it is a condo. You've got condo rules and regulations, but really, I don't see much of a downside. I don't think that investment would ever go down in owning that condo, even if the town chose to do something down the road or some miracle, a piece of property showed up that they could buy on the waterfront. So that's my thoughts on it.
Sam, for the record, just to go back to Bay Oaks for a second, maybe ask Rexanne, we kind of missed the boat on that anyway, as far as we're not really that hot on it, and that's moving along pretty fast right now anyways without us, isn't it?
Well, it seems to move forward and then it kind of steps back. I wouldn't say that it's an option that you should rule out at this point necessarily. The other thing that just occurred to me sitting here, it seems like all the options we've looked at have been on our island. Have we looked at San Carlos Island for options?
Yes,
Okay.
we've looked, I've perused and looked for anything that's for sale over there, and
I'm thinking even
You're
renting.
talking multiple millions of dollars. I sold Gulf Marineways, that's $5 million for that.
I'm thinking
thing.
of renting.
Oh, renting. No, I know everybody over there and I don't know anybody. No, they
we
would
have
to give up.
pursued some options,
Just
and
asking the question.
no, and they haven't necessarily been welcoming.
And I think it's important that we keep it here. I mean, we want the people to come here and their money, really. Personally, I think.
Historically, we had our first provider was on the other side. And that was, in some ways, when we were just starting out. Bob was on the committee at that time, and so was I. And over the years, I think we were quite happy to move to our side as opposed to over there, because there's this, to me, there's this psychological difference between you're supposed to be in Fort Myers Beach, yet you're on the other side of the island. And I think if we want our facility a part of what we consider Fort Myers Beach for both merchants and the town, it just, again, makes much more sense to me here on Estero Island.
And for the record, I agree with Mike, because other than Salty Sam's, it's very industrial. And the other thing was, Bob was just mentioning about, if we purchase this, we do have equity. And you never know what the real estate market's going to do up or down, but it's always worth something. So it's not like it's a total expense. It's capitalized, and we do have an asset when we purchase Harbor House.
It's an investment in the town's future.
I just want to make a side comment. Town is considering redevelopments, the other public spaces with, I don't know how much return. And this is another example. If the town were to move forward with this and eat $223,500, understanding that's, right off the bat, it's, loss. We're investing $1 million, Times Square, Bay Oaks, and Bayside Park. We've taken in in-house everything else. We've taken in building services. We've taken in beach water, parking, the rec center, but I don't know that we had much say in that. It was kind of, Lee County, here you go. But also, I just wanted to point out, we haven't touched on it yet. I did provide you with, we tasked Tetra Tech to kind of give a layout of how we could make this work with those 2 units, thanks to Doug and Mr. Freschetti for providing, anything and everything I've asked for, because we want to be able to give information to you all to make a decision, additional information. I know it's been a long 2 years. We said we've been talking through this, but it's taken really Austin and myself 2 years to get our hands, our heads wrapped around this and try to address issues and straighten things out. But if you pull up the Tetra Tech little design, you can see there's like a 24-hour access side and a office hours side. 6 bathrooms, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bathroom shower combinations would be provided. 3 of which would have 24-hour access. That would be an increase of 4, the 2 that we currently have and provide. So, I know the question has been raised, is that sufficient? I've heard both sides that it's not, that it is. But we've tried to maximize the space in this layout.
And for the record, option 2 with the additional 2 restrooms and area there.
That is beyond our budget right now.
Okay, so that's not what we're talking
I
about.
didn't even include that in the budget numbers just because it's additional upfront costs that we cannot afford.
That was my question. Okay. We have to realize whether, with the expansion of the field, whether 6 restrooms is going to be enough, and
How many do we have now? Well, there's my answer.
Well, as Austin said, we're in a period that we don't know where things are going, as far as, what our, how many people are going to be cruising, coming up or coming down on their boats. So there's a little bit of a, uncertainty there, but certainly, we have, I think this plan is good, and you always have options in the summer. Maybe you don't open some of them because you don't have as much traffic, so then you don't have as much cleaning cost. In the summer, we don't have as many people here. And so there's some options of having things open and not, and it's certainly, we have 2 now, this is 6, and which is a lot more than we have right now.
We are at 56% capacity today. 31 moorings available. That is
one of the concerns was that all the toilets are shower areas, and it seems like, once somebody gets in the shower, that gets involved in the shower areas, it's a longer period of time. However, at Snug Harbor, restrooms could be an overflow still. I keep coming back to that, but is that 24-hour restrooms, or is that during business hours?
I'm not privy to that.
Theoretically, those are public.
Yes.
That we found out.
Required to be public, yes.
Oh.
And just for maximizing space, the architect, I told him, get as many bathrooms, showers as you can. 6, and you can see we have 2 ADA compliant ones.
So one will always be available.
Yes.
I think what Kathy said was a great idea. If we're doing a formula on ratio of tenants, bathrooms, that for maintenance purposes and cleanup purposes and stuff like that, we just wanted to make what was available per capita for the mooring tenants might be an option to use it when we're not full.
Oh. I have gone through all the negatives that I have found over the last 2 or 3 years we've been discussing this. I believe that the staff has responded to those overly well, and maybe it's time to quit discussing it and say that we would like to proceed this and recommend it to the council, and I would so move.
We seen the condo docs, the rules of the condo? I haven't seen those.
I've requested those from.
So pending the review of the condo rules, then I would make that motion.
Sam, I'll second that for discussion.
Bob Beasley, for the record, it does boil down to, like what Mike said. You got, in my opinion, you got 2 choices. Either stay where you are and risk on that, and what is weighing my decision on which way to go with this is stay at Mantanzas. They've done a good job. It's great. Good people over there. But you don't know what's going to happen in the future. If something were to happen to the owner, or he decides to sell down the road, the new owner obviously he'll have to honor whatever contract's in place, but 5 years from now, you're going to be right back at this table going, okay, well, what do we do now? So that's what I'm looking at.
Bob, so also, I do know that Matanzas has, I think, a DO out, that they will be doing some renovations in the upcoming future. I haven't heard the timeline for that. No, I've had some discussions with Doug regarding sidewalk and coordinating that with the town's sidewalk project downtown, but I do know that there are plans in the near future for redevelopment of Matanzas. So that would be,
Everything's gonna redevelop sooner or later, so, and that's what I'm looking at. So if you don't own land on the waterfront right now, I think this is your best option.
I agree with all that was said.
I agree. Caveat, like Rexanne's talking about, and Matanzas, there's so many unknowns of what's gonna happen in the future. Condo, most of our unknowns will be discovered. The attorneys look into the condo rules and how that would evolve. And if it can't even, if it's set in stone, or if there's a chance it's going to evolve to our disadvantage, that's why I'll be voting yes for this, just because we'll go through a vetting process through our attorneys and town council.
Well, and that was part of our motion last time when we were exploring this, was we were going to look at all of the documents in the condo and whatever as part of this before they decide to go ahead. But I think at this point, we're looking for support for this project or not from this committee. And that's where we are with it.
Greg, you've been quiet.
Listening, but I think you all know, I think I've always been in agreement with this, keeping it close to the town. I think location is everything. Right, that's like the simplest business plan that anybody's ever started a company is. You have a really high chance of success if you're in the right place. This is the right place. It's a good chance to see how it's going to work taking it in-house. It's a really small commitment for the next 5-10 years. If it doesn't work, then you go outsourcing it. If it does work, hopefully the town by then will find a better place, or just find out we'll just buy more space in Harbor House. Who knows? But I think it's a minimal risk, really. The worst thing you can do is you're just going to get your money back in 10 years. That's selling at 50% loss. I don't think that'll ever happen on a beach.
I come back to Greg's comment for just a second here. That's one of the issues is the other unit may not always be available. It's available right now. Not budgeted in what we're talking about right now, but it's
The gray unit.
the extra two.
The gray is, Doug has offered that as an addition to, and I did talk to him and I said, this is completely out of our budget. You know, we're hip deep in our budget, over budget, and we need to try to get knee deep in it. And he understood, and, you know, understood also too that could come down the road. You know, if we were to get these two 108 and 109 units, and if he were open down the road to sell the town that 12 by 16 area. But as of right now, we're showing the 6 bathroom combo units.
Okay, sorry, one more question. You're talking about option 2. Are you just talking about the 2 grade-in areas, or are you talking about everything on the dotted line?
No, just the 2 gray, that little gray area.
Okay.
Just the 2 restroom areas, the shower rooms?
Yep.
So there is an extra commode, so it really is 6 full shower bathroom plus 1 extra commode?
No. That other white bathroom is not part of it. That whole thing
Okay.
at the bottom is not part.
It's everything from the dotted line up, and what we would be getting is 2 extra, is the grade area, and we're never gonna get that area to the left of the gray.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a number associated with that, a specific number with
Yes,
those?
and we cannot afford it right now.
Very expensive restrooms.
It's very expensive. It's the space you're paying for.
Right,
And we're,
understood.
like I said, we're already hip deep on over budget, so we don't want to go chest deep, we want to go knee deep.
Absolutely.
And that's a frontage, those restrooms is a frontage storefront.
No.
That's part of Matanzas.
Did you ever go in the summer?
But it's got its own door. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't have its own door. That's a window, sorry.
In the summer, when Doug had originally had the 1 unit, and then that was where he was proposing there was an office. Right now, all of that is like
It's his maintenance
storage,
unit.
Matanzas
It's his maintenance
stuff,
unit.
maintenance stuff. So,
Mike Rattle for the record. Also, just as an aside, I think, assuming the town goes ahead and does this, is that I cannot speak and will not speak for the folks at the, in the condos. I think our business is perfect for this because we're not going to be open 24/7. It's relatively quiet. People will come and go, and I think we would be very good tenants there. And if I was would I rather see in a cocktail lounge or our business there if I was a condo owner? I think I know what I'd want.
We do have exclusive entry where we're not really, are coming right from the waterfront, right to that. We're not going around
Right.
the side of the building or
Right.
the back of the building or
Very
anything.
unobtrusive.
anybody? Yeah.
Just, I know the transcriptionist just kind of pull her hair out. I know that there was a motion and a second. There's been
For
discussion.
discussion.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything discussing? And the motion was that we accept this proposal. Am I correct?
Yes, that we accept this proposal with the review for the,
Review of the condo documents.
Is there a recommendation to town council?
Yes.
yes, the
That is-
recommendation of town
That we
council.
recommend this proposal to town council. Is that your motion?
That's correct.
Are we ready for a vote?
Yeah, and based on your, and also based on the
Budget.
budget that you, the preliminary budget.
So
that
then
you gave
these
us.
two items will be taken to the next town council.
Basically, give us.
Just to be specific, then, this is satisfying what we need to say to town council.
Okay. So are we ready to vote on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we recommend this proposal to town council for consideration.
This will be taken to our next town council meeting on
You
December
like-
7th.
December 7th, would you like one of us to be there?
That would be great.
December 7th.
Fine.
Is that 9?
9
is that
o'clock,
9?
I think.
9 o'clock?
I believe my calendar is open.
Day.
Pretty open these days. Okay. Strategic plan review, communication plan. Essentially, as I looked through this, am I correct that we just kind of changed the people that are responsible if we needed to and pressed forward the dates, the target dates?
So we're actually going to sit down here in the next week, Austin, Randy, and myself, and put a game plan moving forward, tackling and providing reports at each of your meetings as to where these items stand.
Okay.
Some of them, we've done or we continue to work on. Is there any in particular that this committee feels that is a priority for
One
staff
we
to
just
work?
voted on.
Yep.
Well, that was number two, number one, kind of, we just kind of did that. Well, as I was thinking about as we're going forward with proposing buying Harbor House, some of these are put on hold a little bit because they talk about expansion and of facilities and different, and hours and all of those things. So I guess until that decision is made, we're kind of on hold with some of those things. If the town council decides not to go ahead with this purchase, then we're back to looking at some of them again, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Some of these should be taken into consideration with if we do the Harbor House as far as, with supplies and the basic ship store, ice, those things that are small items on here.
Yes.
And I guess I also, on number 5, communication, the number 6 that's under that, the weekly meet and greet for customers really is on hold. We have 12/20/20 as a date on that, but, we're not meeting with the public really. So until things could sort of settle out, so maybe we want to, the date I still have is 2020 on that. I think we need to push that back further until, you know, all of this kind of goes away. And in number 2, under the communication, did Chelsea, did you say that you're having monthly meetings with Matanzas now?
Yep, we are. So Austin and I are having monthly meetings down at Matanzas. And of course, if any issues arise in between then, I am communicating with them via email. They understand that one of the things, and Austin could probably expound on this even further, is he used to receive papers of who requested pump outs that day. Austin, you want to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, so the procedure went, basically the customer would call in and request a pump out for the day, and they would have a sheet. Well, I think you guys are familiar with our inventory sheet that we would use on the day-to-day that would give us who was in the field on what given time and how much money was owed and that sort. That no longer is the practice. Now we go ahead and we use the online request form. We go down it and essentially just pump out everybody who requested online. Like she said, the tickets and all that stuff is getting worked out now, but we're still doing the hand-to-hand tickets and that kind of recording as well. We can now also do inventories of the field and see who's on the ball and who's not registered through DACWA. We can put notes in through DACWA to adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. So everything is real time. And then just pretty much any tracking that needs to get done, we can pull it up live and see where everybody's at any given time.
One of the other issues we're working through with Matanzas is it seems like this has occurred for years now, is that the patron comes into the field and just picks whatever ball that they want. Trying to train both Matanzas staff and the patrons coming in, but it is an assignment. It's not a pick whatever ball you want, because like you all know, Austin has it set up out there where, you know, ball 1 and 2 are transient, you know, pop into the office or out of the field pump outs, designated liveaboard, ball ranges, things like that. So trying to get away from pick what you want. You don't go to a hotel and pick what you want. You request, you know, your area, but then you're assigned a room. You're assigned a mooring ball. So we're working through some kinks like that. So.
Well, and we also have radius issues too, that we're supposed to be watching as far as the larger boats aren't supposed to be on the small radius balls too, which isn't readily apparent when somebody comes in. They just. And the other thing that concerns me too, still does concern if we expand the field, is there's going to be some depth issues in the new field. Whereas my boat probably would not be safe to be in the new field because of 6-foot depth. A lot of places there. I mean, pretty much everywhere in the field that we have now is fine, but we're going to have some issues there, I think. That's not here. I had a question. I was going through the communication plan that you sent out a couple of times ago, and we have a communications director. Am I?
It's the PIO.
PIO, yeah.
Yeah.
Is she doing anything specifically for us? I mean, part of what we have in our mooring field strategic action plan is having a website. Or
I
are we
think
doing?
town, a portion of our website, where right now the Mound House has a website, Bay Oaks has a website, Noon Park has, I mean, everybody's got a website. So I think she's trying to, well, number one, we're revamping our website, but number two, have a one central location. Mooring field has its own page, as you all know, but she has this grand matrix. I was in awe when I saw it because of just how much she has on her plate. But the mooring field was part of that, trying to do a scheduled posting or, you know, I know Austin had a great idea to do some like videos and shots, kind of like how to tie up the mooring system, how to call into the office, things like that, that we can push out, but Jenny really looks for, we look to give Jenny the content and then let her run with it. So we try to do a team effort on that, but she's helping out with the stuff, so.
Just as far as communication, just kind of aside, I happened to go on the website when the tropical storm was around, or the hurricane was around, and there was a little blurb about being the safe harbor, which I was very glad to see on there when all that was coming.
We're also working with her under the bridge to vamp that area up to our information board that we have down there. I think that's to be noted. We're working with the PIO as well, getting all the correct information.
Part of it's too, the branding, changing out logos, signage updates, it's fun.
Takes a while. Okay. Is there anything more on this? Okay, let's move to the fee rate comparison, and we should have a chart and also some information. Before we got into this chart, I went through with the information that we got last meeting with all of the stuff that got from the various websites and stuff, and there's a couple of inaccuracies on here before we talk about if we're looking at a fee comparison. The first, Fort Myers Beach, Key West, City of Fort Myers, Sarasota are all fine. When you get to Marathon, it's fine too, except just wanted to make the point that the dinghy dock is included. They have a dinghy dockage thing, but that's like for people that anchor out and whatnot, so it's not like you have to pay the daily fee and then you have to pay a daily dinghy dockage too. The Punta Gorda is a dock, so it's not really a mooring field. The Vero Beach information, they put the wrong information. They put the dock information in here. Daily dinghy dock is $16.25, and that was in the packet that we had. They just put in anything by the foot, it's a dock thing. So it's $16.25 daily rate, and then the monthly rate is $324, and then if you live aboard, you add an extra $48.70. So that's what their mooring field is. Does that make sense?
Where was that?
This is under Vero Beach. Rates that they show, I went back in all the packet that you gave us, and they put down what the dockage rate is by the foot. So the daily dockage, daily mooring ball rate is $16.25, and the monthly is $324, and then if you live aboard, you add a live aboard fee of $48.70. That's in the packet. St. Petersburg, the information they gave us was from 2018, and I've actually been there several times, and they took the mooring field out because they redid the pier. So I don't think they put it back in yet, just as an aside. Fort Lauderdale, all of those are docks, except for Las Olas. In the information that was there, they had a mooring, and it looked funny because it was like a transient moorage area, $20 a day was a mooring ball. But all those other rates, those are for docks. And the city of Gulfport is fine. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there if we're looking at rates. We are a little bit low, except for what Vero Beach has. If I leave out St. Petersburg, because I don't think that that's going right now. So are we looking to raise our rates, Chelsea, or to think about it, or?
I think it's all encompassing with the motion that was made earlier. But I wanted to give you this information just so you could see what our competitors are doing. We now have the flexibility with DOCWA to change rates during the season, out of season, like that, length of vessel. So we don't necessarily have to stick to like a flat number. So that's, flat numbers are easy for everybody off the top of your head, but it's more of an information sharing. Kind of difficult to increase rates. We haven't necessarily increased services, okay? But they aren't directly correlated. Still a cost of doing business. But again, I just wanted to give you guys information. Do with it what you wish.
Kathy, rates would seem to be partly supply and demand, or is that the only factor, or is the facilities? I'm just trying to balance supply and demand with have we improved our facilities? And so far, how likely is a $2 change in rates going to change the number of people that come here? It's just a thought. So I'm not suggesting we raise them, but at least it seems like to me that that's going to be one of the factors. Facilities may draw people. Some people may come without the facilities. So just a thought that maybe we consider raising the rates sooner than a year from now.
Well, in comparing to other cities, like you said, Kathy, especially like Vero Beach, if they do like a live aboard rate on top of a monthly rate, I mean, there is more staff time associated to the live aboards per se than the transients, you know, wellness checks, things like that, making sure that they get their every 3-day pump outs because they are here, you know, for more than 6 months. So again, this was kind of just a food for thought, chew on it. If this is something we wanted to move forward with, we'd have to go to town council and adjust the fee schedule. Getting DACWA to update the rates is an email, that's it. So, but then of course we'd want to provide notice to those, publish it out, get Matans board, et cetera. So mind you, the rev in this current year until next December 1st, December 1st, 2021, Kansas gets 55% what we collect. So.
I think the last time that we upped our rates was at least 2 years ago, maybe longer. I don't remember, sure, but I think it's got to be at least 2 years.
More than two, I think.
And it's more than 2, I think.
I think we should wait. We see what this council, because if they do approve it, then move it in-house, you have substantial services going up. I think we should relook at pricing the following year. I think we should really look at the west versus the east. I don't see why that should be the same. And I think the peak versus non-peak shouldn't be the same. There's always advantage with it because people will pay more for the convenience being closer, and people who want to save a buck go to the east side. And it helps us getting, like Austin says, he likes the people at short stays being close. They will pay a little bit more for that. Those who are using it for wet storage, just stick away in the back. Give them a break. They're not using their boat. Heck, I might even put my boat back there if I got a deal. I'm just saying, I think that's a business thing. So, and I think I agree with you. We should have a business plan that says how we can increase income without really penalizing the customers.
Well, Chelsea said, you know, until we, I kind of agree with that, until we kind of made the decision where we're going with our facilities is maybe the thing. Then if we're going forward, then is the discussion how we're going to do this.
And we can continue to keep it on your agendas and your radar and discuss it, or maybe even refine it. Maybe we want to compare only to 2 or 3. And then maybe we want to crunch some numbers. You got to consider sales tax. You have to consider the processing fee. Do we want to just do 1 rate, 2 rates, fluctuating season? Those are things that we can crunch some numbers here, or we can go and do some homework and bring it back, et cetera. So, and then compare that to the bottom line, or even to if we did procure Harbor House, how would that affect, or would that reduce bottom number, things like that. So
I think for right now, I think that's my idea, that we should see where we're going with this and then decide. if we're staying with Matanzas, that's going to change what we're going to do, I think, as far as the rates, perhaps.
Now that we're with DACWA, it probably is a little more flexible that we can do variable pricing because they're kind of handling, it's
And,
not having to compute it by hand and that.
And again, you increase it right now, and
Confusing.
it's a tad confusing. It's doable, we can do it, absolutely, it's not,
Then we'll be changing it again at some point, so maybe we should just,
and then we have to talk to Matanzas, we have to talk to finance, and make sure calculations are done right, et cetera, so.
Okay. Member items and reports. Ed, do you have anything?
Don't have anything.
Gregory, do you have anything?
Well, just glad to see you guys.
We're glad to see you too.
Welcome back.
Sam? Mike?
Actually, a question occurred to me, and I should have addressed this a long time ago. The engineer who provided the layout, assuming, and we don't know this for sure, obviously, but do we have any idea how long, once we would take possession, make the facility up and ready to go? Did he address that at all? He or
No,
she?
that's the contractor, once you bid it out, the engineer the architect laying out the plans, us putting it out to bid, telling a contractor how long they had to do it, understanding there's a procurement time frame, permits. I happen to know the permitting department, across the other side of the building. But I mean, again, it's government. We have processes we have to follow. We have to follow the procurement policy. But the closing date and then working with, Kansas and.
And we've actually had trouble getting people to bid on contracts.
Yes.
The bathrooms at Newton, we had to put out, I think,
Twice
twice before we got bids.
And then we requested council, we had to request council to waive the purchasing policy, and use a local vendor that has done other work. So, and everybody's busy right now. Construction business is booming. So, and again, I go back to, we're on an island, we're a government. People don't necessarily like those two things hand in hand, but minimum 30-day bid. That's after putting together a bid package. Typically, you like to put the permits in the bid package so the contractor knows exactly what they're getting into. Can price it out accordingly.
Anything else?
6 months plus.
It's conservative.
The bathrooms took 2 years plus.
That's, again, two rounds of bidding, then it has to go to council for approval.
That's beyond our control.
Fast we have to.
Yeah, Mike, do you have anything else?
What, ongoing saga of the expansion of the dinghy dock, where do we stand with that? The
We're
new-
waiting to close out the expansion permit before we apply for the dinghy dock permit.
Okay, so it's as is.
Anything?
Well, that was my question, so we got it.
Any public comment? Thanks for being here. Well, our next meeting, after I go to council, or we go to council, I hope, I'll plan to go, but other people can come too, on December 7th. So what is
it'll
the
be
date?
Wednesday, December 16th.
Yes.
I don't know, staff and the town manager were monitoring everything that's going on, influx of cases and stuff. I know it was mentioned yesterday in the Public Safety Committee. We were talking about their December meeting. The chair of that committee said, perhaps Zoom. Just some people are starting to not feel comfortable coming out because of the influx of cases. So I just want to make it clear that you all always have that opportunity. If you want to utilize Zoom instead of coming here, we can coordinate that. That is not a problem. I'm here to help in any way. If you want to do it here in person, we can continue that.
Do people feel like?
Well, does everyone have capabilities? We've done it before. I know I was okay getting on Zoom. Is
think we
everybody
all
able to
did
get
it.
on it?
Before.
And if you don't, we can, of course, help you if you want to. If one person doesn't understand or know how to operate it or do it, we can set you up here in the fishbowl with the laptop and get you on the meeting. But I just wanted to put that out there, that it is an opportunity if you choose to use it.
What do people think?
We have business that we need to deal with in December, or because of the holiday, do you want to wait until January?
We can wait till January, I mean, and,
It'd be nice to discuss what happened
I'd like to
at your
do
meeting.
December.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think if there's even one person that wants to Zoom, that we all be agreeable to do it.
I don't care either way.
I'm here to serve you all, so
Oh,
whatever
if
you
somebody
choose to
feels
do.
really strongly one way or the
You
other.
split some in, some out?
It's difficult that way.
It's,
Do we need to make that decision now?
I need to know at least a week prior to the meeting date.
so we could
Because-
check in a week prior, and if somebody really feels
know what?
strongly,
So we could see the results of the December 7th town council meeting. I mean, 9 days until our meeting, right? We could make the decision after
I
that.
have to have the agenda out a week in advance, and
I have a
if it is,
suggestion. Sorry to interrupt. You know what, with the holidays and everything, and everybody going around and more people coming down here, maybe we should just do this.
okay, I'm fine with that.
What does everybody think of
I
that?
think that would be, because of all the unknowns right now.
Just so much traffic and people, and
That's
they're
fine.
using all these rooms all the time, so we have the luxury of
sanitize
being
it in
able to
between
do it.
meetings, trust me.
know.
We got air, we
No,
have
no, I mean,
aerosols.
but we have the luxury of doing it where some people with presentations don't.
I'm-
Town
I'm-
council doesn't have the option anymore. DeSantis took away our ability to meet remotely.
Yeah.
We are forced to come in. You guys don't have to, so.
I'm fine with meeting with Zoom,
fine
because
with
I
Zoom.
think, I don't think there's anything that we're doing that we can't just update in a Zoom meeting. I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
Well, we will, I'll make it to where it's a Zoom meeting, and you'll get the information out. I'll try to get it out a little more than a week in advance. That way it gives us, some time to work with you all if you need some assistance, to set it up on your computer or how to get to it. Like
Maybe
that.
when you send that out, maybe put a little notation, if you plan on attending, please let you know. That way, if that morning, for some reason, somebody's not on there, you'll know that you're expecting them and not waiting on them.
Okay.
I would think that really everything could be here, except I think we could, since we're kind of waiting on the fee schedule thing, we could drop the fee out. I don't think there's anything to update until we've made a plan with our provider to look at that. So I think everything else should stay on the agenda except for the fee rate comparison.
Okay.
Okay? Motion to adjourn.
Sam, I move to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you all.
Have fun with the minutes, Chelsea.
The minutes are done off of YouTube, which is really great, because then they can watch them over and over.
Right, rewind.
So if I understood right, we're gonna Zoom next month?
We're gonna Zoom next month.
Perfect, yeah. I like Zoom.
There's nothing
I
we're
did this
doing
summer
here.
with my other committee. I should've said-
You know what,
My music foundation, that's what we've been doing.
There actually
I
might
could
be
be at
traffic.
any meeting. on
There might
Zoom.
even be traffic with them, with construction and
Yeah, but even
everything.
this summer when I'm gone, we can
Yeah.
do Zoom. Like that.
Yeah, my one committee, that's all we've done
Thanks,
since
Roxanne.
March.
Thank you.
And we have some teachers that are involved, and it's really great for them because they don't have to, they can't get out of the